Hello, good afternoon, everyone, dear authors and invited guests. Welcome to a technical session 7A on the behalf of ICT-IS 2021 and a Global Knowledge Research Foundation. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 5th International Conference on Information and Communication Technology for Intelligent Systems through Zoom. We are thankful to everyone who present on this platform to go along with us digitally in these unpredictable circumstances of COVID-19 and are making this conference more productive. Also, we wish everyone and their families to a productive time and we all will together pass this soon. We hope you will enjoy the knowledgeful and interactive session. Just before we get started, I would like to introduce our session chair, Meenakshi Arya. She is a senior member of IEEE and fellow of IETE and a professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at SRM Institute of Science and Technology. She has a 15 years of teaching experience and research interest in a digital image processing, data analytics, green computing. I welcome you, ma'am, as a chair of this technical session 7A. Over to you.
Thank you, Richa, and welcome to all the participants. At the outset, I would like to thank the GR Foundations for giving me this opportunity and connecting with my old acquaintances again. And we will begin with the first paper. The first paper in line is Cursor Movement Using Hand Gestures by Pranjali Shailesh Punekar. So Pranjali, you may start.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, it's audible. You may share your slide also.
Yeah, ma'am. Ma'am, is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible. You can go ahead.
So good afternoon, everyone. My paper ID is 99 and my paper title is Cursor Movement Using Hand Gestures. My co-authors are Madhura Bandikar, Derek Dominic, Rupali Deshmukh and Pranjal Punekar. My department is of Information Technology from FCRIT Vashi. So introduction of our project. Why hand gesture cursor movements? So nowadays human interaction with machine are very important aspect for user to get a friendly access to the machine technology. As we all know that we use touchscreen devices like mobile phones, tablets and touchscreen TVs as well developed. Also we are using laptops and computers. Therefore the touchscreen technology is being used often nowadays. So we have developed and studied a new technology which is cursor movement based on hand gestures. So what is the need of hand gesture cursor movements? So as everybody uses mouse for the operating of computer or laptops, we did a survey on it and found that many health related issues causes problem to the use of mouse due to incorrect positions of holding the mouse or operating it incorrectly or not able to sit in a correct position to operate the mouse and medical problems like tunnel syndrome, repeated motion injuries, gorilla arm problem, mouse shoulder, computer back occurs due to the excessive use of mouse. So we have decided to develop a new technology which will be using hand gestures to operate the mouse. So the related work we have done is the gesture recognition technique which is being used is influencing nowadays. So many gesture recognition techniques are being used for recognizing and tracking different hand gesture movements. So each technology has its advantages and disadvantages. So the very first technology which was wired one in which the user tie up themselves with the wire and other to connect with the computer system. But in this system, the user was not able to move freely around and was limited to a particular surrounding area. So therefore, a length of wire was being used. So the skin color was used for hand segmentation, which was required to use the camera. So in this paper, we are using the Otsu thresholding technique. Otsu is one of the dimensional discrete analog which is used for capturing the light field from the camera, and it is converting the RGB to grayscale color space and then applying the Gaussian filtering to the grayscale image. Then the blurred image is then thresholded using the Otsu thresholding. and then we are finding the contours and drawing them on the thresholded image. Then the contours are being in a bonded rectangle where the convexity defects are being counted based on the number of defects. On the contours, the left and right click operations are being performed. This is the system design, which is the architecture diagram. Here in the back end, we are having a webcam input where the detection will be done, and then binary image will be captured, then color extraction will be performed, and then hand tracking and gesture recognition will be done. And in the front end, we will be showing only the cursor controls. So for the web camera, the main aim is to capture the humans moving hand gesture and movements are being stored in the image memory. Then the package is used for storing image in memory, and another time carrier is constant program. So from the pictures, we are holding the memory which is inclined to the mouse to such that it will be able to capture the mouse movements. Then is the skin detection, in which we are finding the skin colored pixels and the regions where exceedingly images and video captures are done through the photographic camera. And then it is typically transformed the component in which the appropriate color house and the skin classifier is being labeled. Then is the contour extraction, in which we are finding the movement of the hand gestures through which the computer is being able to find that that the object is moving or it is not moving. Once the hands are inside the spiral timehouse, the sequence of image is being generated, and the motion detector is being assigned, and the position of the trace moving hand is uh, been there, and the gray level has been changes. And then we are tracking the hand and gesture recognition, in which the hand gesture is the technique where we are tracking the movements of the hand, and the extracted hand type is type from the background is been straightforward removed, and then the technique is been implemented. And in the event handling, we are identifying the gestures to undertake that it is assigned to an incident where the gestures includes a dominant mouse, and like we are doing scrolling, dragging, left click, like right click, copy pasting, etc. Then the methodology we have used is that the process which we are using is, firstly we are capturing the live feed from the web camera, and then it will be displayed on the screen. Then the image is being flipped to avoid the cursor mouse, in which the opposite direction of the user is been moving. Then this image is converted to RGB color, and then it is being transferred to grayscale, where the Gaussian filtering is used. In Gaussian filtering, the blurring of the image is done to remove the Gaussian noise from it. And the blurred or the filter image is been obtained through the thresholding. The thresholding includes of two types. First is to extract the counters, and the second is to draw the counters. Uh, then after the contours have been extracted, the convex hull is drawn on the image, which is a tight wrapping of the object. Then the movement of the object deviates from the convex hull. It is considered to be the convexivity defect. Beside this, the number of convexivity defects is on which the gesture is being applied. The cursor functions, namely the right click and the left click, are being implemented by the PY Auto GUI library. Then the cursor is being controlled by the fingertips of one's hand, which is detected, and then the white circle impersonating the cursor will be done. These are the results. First image shows that we are converting the RGB to grayscale image. Then the thresholding has been done, and in the third image, the contour extractions are being shown. Here are the results. If we show two fingers, there are two defects. Then the cursor will be moved, and if we show the four fingers, the defects will be four, and which will happen right click. So the conclusion of our paper is that in our paper we are supporting the hand gesture recognition, which provides a substitute for hardware of the mouse. So a system where the mouse and hand movements and gestures for different operations like left click, right click are being performed. It is also helpful for dominating different types of applications like counting and managing the shows of computers, which will be of multiple displays. And further, we can include hand gestures by using AI technology and different operations on one system. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Pranjal, for your presentation. You may stop your share. Well, it was a good take on a very, very novel technique, very, very innovative concept that was put across by Pranjal. However, Pranjal, just a small suggestion from my end. The results don't seem to be too exhaustive. Probably you can add on some more results to your work that will make it more, more fruitful, or the kind of data set that you're looking at, or the kind of techniques that you're using. More elaboration of that you can probably put in future, and we look forward to seeing you in ICTIS 2022 also with your new paper. Thank you
Yes,
so much for
ma'am.
your
Thank you, ma'am.
Next, I would like to invite Chirayu Lalwani to present his research paper on EaseAdopt.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. Good afternoon, sorry. Can I turn my screen sharing on?
Yes, yes, you can.
Yeah, so our topic is EaseAdopt. The authors are myself, Chirayu Lalwani, Prerna Gurbagzini, Snehal Jagtap, and Mashik. So I aim to create the paper was to create awareness among citizens about the benefits of adoption, and also to ease the process, because most want to get into adoption, but the process and all is difficult to do, and we need to ease it. So we have created this paper. So the objective is to provide an user-friendly platform so that the users can search what they want to adopt, and also the organizations can maintain the records digitally of the adoptables they have. The system, we will create a system that will effectively manage and handle the data of organization to provide adoption facility. The scope and features of this paper is to the efficient management of adoption data. So we will, first thing we will do is make the data of adoption from the organization digitally available. We will reduce the paperwork. It will also help to ease the adoption process by, as everything will be available digitally, and also in real time. The users can view the data. It will improve the it will improve the interactivity of user with the system. It will be time efficient and location based, means the user can select the type of adoption based on his location, and the user will also get reminders for audits that will be after weekly or monthly, whatever the category of adoptable he has selected to. The target audience is the end users would be the orphanages that have kids that can be adopted, NGOs, also the animal shelters where pets like dogs, cats can be adopted, and cosmopolitan means the users which are ready to adopt the kids or pets. The future investors in this project would be government organizations, NGOs where kids and pets are there, and baby pet product manufacturers. The application area is only the adoption sector. The modules which will be there in the paper are database. Basically, the complete physical paperwork is to be digitized. So main part of the paper is data to be digitalized on the cloud. Then the user interface through which the organizations and the users interact with the system. Security is the main module, because if the data is available digitally, security is the most important part, because the data of kids, pets, all will be available digitally. So we need to secure it in such a way that only the verified users are able to get that data, and everything is encrypted and decrypted uh, at correct time. Also, location based search module is there. Based on the location of the users, they can select the orphanages that are nearby, uh, or the pets they want to adopt according to the locations, and then they can a module for requesting details for the adoptable. These are the basic classes that will be used in the project. That is the user profile, which will hold all the users data. Child, which will hold the child's data. Cats, dogs, similarly for the pets. Also the organization data, including the location, address, city, everything, and the admin that can manage the organization and user profiles. So user can search pets as well as search child based upon the categories, and according to that, organization will give the data give the data if they are available or not, and according to that the user can request the child or pet from the organization, and if it is validated, then the further process can be continued. Working model, the model for organization will have security, that is that is encryption and decryption on both the ends, profile updation of the kids, modification of data. If any child or pet is adopted, then they can remove that data. If anyone is available for adoption, they can add that data, and they will also get reminders for weekly or monthly audits, whichever are there. For users also, same security is an important part. Document verification, if only document verification is there, then only user can get into the system and will be able to search for the adoption criteria. They can also update their profile. They can search based on the locations they are, and they will get adoption details if they are verified properly, and if anyone is there for adoption. These are the security and GPS model which we'll be using. Security is based on security will be based on encryption. There will be a shared symmetric key that will be used to encrypt the text, and then if the users are verified, then that text will be decrypted from the cloud, and then it will be available for the users. And similarly for GPS, GPS based on the user's location, it will automatically detect the user's location. It will send it to the application server, and if any organization is available in that location area, then the details will be visible to the users. These are some of the implementation we have tried with the project. That is, this is for user. The left hand side is for user, where they can write the organization name and all for the registration of users, and then the login part. This is the implementation of eligibility check. If they are verified, documents are verified properly, then they can enter the details for the adoptable, and then if anyone is there for adoption, the result will be visible. Here the organization can add or delete if any pet is adopted, then they can delete that pet, also add that pet according to the IDs given. Every pet or child would be given an ID, so that it will be easier to manage them. Limitation of the project is, it is dependent on the server, because if server crashes, everything goes down. The effort to make data digitally available, the data won't be available isn't available digitally right now. So to make everything digitally available, it will be a hectic process. Physically availability in courtroom is required. If anyone is validated to adopt a kid or pet, and if all the documents are verified, still they need to visit the courtroom for the adoption process. And the cost for scaling up is also on limitation. Future scope, we plan to make the complete process digitized. Right now we are planning to make searching and verification digitalized. Also physical audits which are required in courtrooms and all, we are also planning to make that digitized. Also increasing the type of adoptable categories. Right now in pets we just have dog and cat. Then post adoption, the info about the adopted, the user will also get the information about the adopted after they have adopted anyone, and also the nearest clinics or whatever they need, whatever stuffs is required for the kid or pets, that will be available in the system. Thank you.
Thank you, Chireo, for this wonderful presentation. But I have a few questions.
Yes.
Could you tell me, where are you getting the data from about adoption? What are the procedures required, or what are the documents required?
We visited a few orphanages.
Okay.
Then this told us that the data can't be digitally available right now because it's not allowed by the government.
Yes.
So for that, physical verification of the user is required so that he can access the data. Means if I am physically verified and everything is correct, all the documents are correct, then only I can search the adoptable details. And if I am like I'm searching for a dog, black colored dog of 0 to 4 months, if that is available to my nearest location, then only it will be visible, else it won't be visible.
Okay, so see, it's about sharing of information and all. Why are you not using the concept of blockchain over here so that the data about each adopting parent or adoption remains very, very secret? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, we have thought about it, but we thought that encrypting using some hash keys or that would be efficient, but blockchain would be a better way to secure that data of users as well as the adoptable.
Yes, so you can probably that can be the second
Yeah,
phase
that
of your research. Yeah,
yes.
but a very novel idea and well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
You may stop your screen share. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Now I would like to invite Mr. Ankur Shah for presenting his paper on design and development of an algorithm to secure big data on cloud computing. Yes, Ankur, you may please start your presentation.
Yes. Does my screen is visible?
Yeah, it's visible. You can continue.
Our topic is design and development of an algorithm to secure the big data on cloud
Ankur, could you
computing.
just put your slide in slideshow mode?
Yes, ma'am.
Put your slides in slideshow mode. Yeah, click on the slideshow button on top. There's a slideshow button. Please click on that. Yeah, and make it slideshow.
Yes, yes. Now it is visible.
No, it's visible. Just put it in slideshow mode. There's a small icon. Yeah, just click on resume slideshow. Just close the presentation and restart it. And put it in slideshow mode.
Okay.
Yes, now it's fine. You can please start.
Okay. These are the outlines of my topics. One is the research motivation, literature survey, research gap that I have found, proposed system algorithms, conclusion, and references. What is the main research motivation nowadays? Increasing the use of the big data as well as the cloud computing, but still people are not using that technologies because of the fear of using it due to the security reasons. So main reason is to develop this secure module to incorporate big data with the cloud computing. So along with the increasing popularity of the cloud computing environments due to the security issues, people and organizations fear to adoption of this technology are also increasing. Though the cloud computing provides many benefits, it is vulnerable to the attacks. Attackers are constantly trying to find the loopholes to attack the cloud computing environment. Traditional security mechanisms are not sufficient to provide the security in cloud computing. Hence, there is a need to invest in understanding the challenges, loopholes, and components prone to the attack with respect to the cloud computing, and come up with a platform and infrastructure which is less vulnerable to the attacks. These are my literature survey first paper I have read, that is a data sharing protocol to minimize the security and privacy risk of the cloud storage in big data era. It is from IEEE 2019. Here they have mentioned one SSGK is proposed by the author in this paper. Here they are secure sharing of the group key, means they sharing that secret sharing of the group key management protocol, the shared data and the communication is protected from the unauthorized access by the SSGK. And further work you can do inside this paper is dynamic mechanism of the group members that can be efficiently developed, can be implemented in future. Second paper that I have read is development of the big data security in frequent item using epic growth algorithm, and it is from IGERT 2019. Here they have given PFP algorithm is proposed by this paper. It is time efficient, good privacy protection and better utility. And further work here we can do is, if we talk about the larger database, then it is not feasible to grasp the FB tree in a main memory. This can be solved by the partitioning FB tree into smaller database and construct the FB tree for all of this. Third paper I have read is a review on the big data based parallel and distributed approaches of pattern mining, and it is from Elsewhere 2019. This paper gives the idea about the parallel and distributed mining to overcome the difficulty that arises to extract the pattern from the large scale data. And here further work can be done on discuss challenge of the parallel and distributed mining inside the paper. One more paper that I have read is big data trade-off between the data quality and data security. This paper was published in Elsewhere 2019. The issues of the quality of the data at the same level and the issues of the security of the data at the same level are focused inside this paper. The context of the big data impose the challenges and cause the problem for the quality and security. And further work further to access and improve the big data quality, we can implement it via secure process. One more paper that I have read is an integrated methodology for big data classification and security for improving the cloud system data mobility. It was published in the year 2019 inside the IEEE. Firstly, author introduced about the big data security technique, then illustrate the founded on the big data classification technique. Here, using the classification technique, they recognize the file and confidently make it secure previously to any data transmission happens over the cloud node. For further work, an adaptive method for incorporating security constraint need to be considered during the classification of big data in developing and designing cloud computing system. For classification, authors will go to the consider image, videos, and audio files. It required a special treatment because of its nature is different from text, CSV, log, XLS, and SQL files. Therefore, new techniques are needed so that it will be able to deal with the file attribute for such big data types. Next paper I have read is about intelligent big data summarization for rare anomaly detection. It was published in IEEE 2019.
Ankur, there's a time limit which is given for every paper presentation. It is 10 minutes. You have already exceeded. Can you please come to your methodology and conclusion and results, please?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
So here are the different literature survey that I have read. This is the main research gap that I was found for big data security. One is the Hadoop security. So for it, that it requires security of HDFS. One is cloud security. For that, the security of the data storage on cloud. One is monitoring, violation detection architecture, and check network behavior to find the anomalies. And one is auditing, recognize the abnormal user behavior, or audition dynamic big data storage. And last one is key management. So generate the strong key. Our work mainly focused on generate the strong key and securing storing of the data on a cloud. Here is our proposed system. We take the input as a big data, then we convert the data into semi-structured format. Then after, we are going to apply the AES algorithm of 512 bits, and also we are going to use the bit permutations, and then finally we are going to store it in a MongoDB. These are the steps for the modified AES algorithm. Initially, we give the plain text. Then after we add the round keys at the round 0. Then after round 1 to n-1, we are performing sub bytes, shift rows, bit permutation, adding the round keys. And at round number 22, we are sub bytes, shift rows, add round key, and finally cipher text is generated from this encryption process. For the decryption process, for this cipher text, we add the round key at round 0. Then after from round 1 to n-1, we are going to add the round key, inverse the bit permutation, inverse the sub bytes, inverse the shift row. And in last step, last round, we are going to add the round key, inverse the sub bytes, inverse the shift row, and finally we get the plain text. So these are the two processes, encryption and decryption for modified AES algorithm.
Ankur, please wind up. You can come to your results straight away. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. And finally, our conclusion is that the loss or the theft of the data can be extremely damaging for a company, both in the terms of monetary and reputational loss. With the frequency of cyber attacks increasing year on year, securing the big data system should be a very important priority for all the companies. Thus, necessity to design some secure algorithm to store the big data. These are my references. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ankur. Well, a very, very well-researched topic that you have presented. However, what I could find missing in your presentation was, which you can justify, what exactly are the objectives that you are working with?
Our main objective, madam, is to secure big data on a cloud computing. For that, we have proposed one AES algorithm, modified AES algorithm actually. It currently have 256 bits, but we have added up to 512 bits as well as bit permutations we have do for that.
No, when you say we have to secure big data, what do you mean by security of big data? I couldn't kind of understand.
Security in the terms of some personal information you have to secure, some essential information, some passwords, etc. you have to secure on a cloud. That is why the security is required. So person's data can be secured.
So what kind of data are you securing? What is the data set that you are putting and you are securing that?
Our main focus currently is for healthcare systems.
Okay.
Health record we are going to secure.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ankur. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, madam.
Next, for next presentation, I would like to invite Prajapati Bharat Kumar to present his research on an implementation of IRTBS for observing cardiac patients. Prajapati, you may please start.
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible, ma'am? Am I audible and screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, you are audible, but screen is not visible. Yeah, both audible and visible. Please continue.
Yes. Good evening, respected faculty member, respected dignitaries, ma'ams, organization committees, and other research scholars. My topic is an implementation of IRTBS model for observing a cardiac patient, and these are my co-author, Dr. Satyan Parikh and Mr. Jignesh Patel. So today's agenda for this, first I'm discussing introduction, then literature review, research gap, research designing, proposed research methodology, then focus on data collection, data analysis, interpretation, finding conclusions, and last how we can extend this system for further research, and then references. So cardiovascular disease is the one of the primary causes and one of the how we can detect this disease on the early stages. So in 2017, WHO published a report, and based on this report, the CVD is the primary cause of the human deaths. And they have also initiated various things so that we can detect and control it in early stages. They have also mentioned a few of the primary risks. These are the risks: the use of the tobacco, use of the physical activity, consumption of the high salted foods, and one major concern, that is the high blood pressure. Another report is also published by the WHO. So, as per published the report, around 70.9 millions are people dead just because of the cardiovascular disease, and the topmost disease, that is the heart attack and stroke. These are the primary topmost disease, and the characteristic of the Internet of the thing, how we can automated the our things. So we have tried to develop a model which is automated and which will use the sensors and connected devices and internet. So in ICU, patient monitoring is a critical and most challenging activity. We are already observing this during the COVID pandemic. In ICU TVs, all the devices are equipped with the sensors and measures, particularly bedside monitor. So what we have done, we have develop a model which will focus on the supervised machine learning, various supervisors classification algorithm, and to improve the accuracy, we have also used the ensemble technique in which various classification combine the result and we can improve the accuracy. So this is the brief overview of the literature review. There is a one paper research published IoT based on the patient monitoring, but at the during our research study, I have found some good point and some of the limitation where we can exchange. So this is the quick review. This is the good thing is the body parameter and heart rate we can observe. But at the same time, I have also limitation of limited. It's Raspberry Pi. It can capture the limited parameter and all the data are manually uploaded. It is another research. The group of the researcher also published the good thing is the level of the oxygen levels and they are not performing any further lack of the data processing. A third mode, that means a good thing that we can store this data for cloud storage for permanently purpose, so that we can analyze the data later, and human is also possible. One of the report published, one of the report researcher as per in USA, out of 4 lakh people, 3 people killed just because of the human error. And this ratio you can imagine in a country like India, they're still in a developing mode. Another, we can send a various notification to the relatives and alerts. Only blood pressure, again they are using a SMTP protocol. So these are the good thing and these are the area where we can extend our work, and we have tried. And again the people are also trying to capture this thing cardiovascular disease with the help of the mobile, but as you know that there is a limitation of the mobiles, that reading are not properly. And there's a few more research papers, and this is we have summary data manually uploaded, cloud storage, human error, only blood pressures. So this is the brief overview of our literature survey. Some of the places we have found the battery issue, false alarm, and this is the heart disease. This is the one survey regarding it. This 5 papers we have refer based on the heart disease, but they have also referred the data set of Calvin set, but the data size is limited 300, only 300. So we cannot implemented a machine learning algorithm to improve the accuracy. We need to improve the number of records. We need to increase the number of records. So during our survey, the patient observation is the uh, primary activity. It can be expand with the help of the intelligent machine learning algorithm. Still, work is limited, and we have a large opportunity. And this is the thing it's give us a motivation to carry our research work. And this is the our aim is to check, analyze, and extend the classification supervised machine algorithm for prediction of more accurate presence of the heart disease during a automated patient monitoring. And these are the different stakeholder. This is the general objective, and these are the my different stakeholder to provide like doctors, nurses, and notice early stage or the. So what will these are the my general objective is to check the heart disease of it, and the specific objectives are to assess affected factor, enhance the usability, assist, and improve the quality of the human life. This is the model we have performed this model in 3 different ways. First phase, patient data are captured with the help of the bedside monitor. Then this data are uploaded on the cloud storage with the help of the firewall, and that later on we can generate the various notification based on the our triggers. And this is the second phase. In second phase, we are collecting the data, analyzing the pulse rate, and WHO already recommended the standard heart rate, systolic blood pressure. So we can also generate the trigger. So we are analyzing the data, blood pressure, data wrangling. We have also performed the whole process, and we have also combined the multiple classifiers. So that each algorithm has a pros and cons. So we can get the advantage of the different classifier also. And we have to keep accuracy, we have tested with two data set. First data set Framingham, which is available on Kaggle, and we have also collected data with the help of the local hospital from Amruta Hospital and other local hospitals. So these two data set, the size of the data set too large, and definitely it's increased the accuracy. And this is the primary cause. We have also visited Amruta Hospital, Indus Hospital, but during our study, I have found that a majority uh, hospital are still following a manually process. Still, they are keeping a sheet, and based on the sheet, they are tracking a record. So there is a no real-time monitoring, and this parameter is also changing if based on the ages and gender-wise. So these are the parameter we have observed that. And for collecting a purpose, we have used this. I have purchased these devices from the Flipkarts and Amazon and implemented this. I have captured this data with the help of this open source project, and we are thankful to the Parth Hospital for providing bedside monitors, and for also thank you for the Dr. Kaushik Gagjar who guide us. And this is the process for data uploading with the help of the Python libraries and data processing.
Mr. Bharat, I'll request you to kindly conclude because we are already running short of time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Let me conclude. So this is a result discussion. We have tested this parameter. We have collected more than 4,000 samples, and continuously you can see that we have increased the accuracy of the particular algorithm. And implementation is already available, but due to time limit, I'm unable to show it. But implementation is available. Future scope, we have considered only number limited parameter, but we have also chance to increase the number of parameters so that we can also study about the other diseases also. So these are the references from my end, and thank you everyone for listening me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bharat. You may please stop the screen share.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's really good to see some real good research that you are doing. My only concern is that in the end, you have shown a lot of algorithms like logistic regression, SVM, and random forest. Have you applied the data set on all these classifiers and then you've come to a conclusion which classifier is better, or you are using a ensemble classifier where you are applying it on all the classifiers, and then what is the process that you're following? As far as the classifier is concerned, I'm specifically talking from the classifier perspective.
Yes, ma'am. I have applied iterative tool. So initially, what it will generate, it will test with the two data set. Then it will say test with the 3, then 4, 5, 6. So there is the thing is available. We are checking this accuracy with all the sets. And the one good library is available in Python, that is iteration. And based on the iteration, we are comparing the results. And trust me, ma'am, the result is tremendous, and it's improved the huge accuracy.
No. My question was that, are you using individual classifiers? Because if you just have a look at the last slide that you've shown about your results. So
Yes.
in the proposed method that you have shown, you are showing multiple, multiple algorithms, logistic regression. And then in the end, you have given a single accuracy, which is around 86 or 88%. So that accuracy corresponds to which classifier? That's what I want to know.
It is a combination, ma'am, combination. But what happening is that it's depend upon the data set, and geographically we have found that there is a variation in the data set. Okay. Like capturing a body, but we say that what we are doing initial basis, we are applying all algorithm, and let's see which combination you give a best result. So after getting a best result, we can use this for further purpose.
Yeah, just a small suggestion from my end. You can even try something called as an ensemble classifier, which is available in Python also, where it combines certain classifiers and uses a voting algorithm or a voting concept where the best classifier is the one that wins. So you are on that same line. You can
Yeah, ma'am.
probably
I
enhance
have
your
also
work.
used a voting classifier with a hard voting, ma'am.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
probably you can that
Yeah,
can
I
be
have,
assisted.
and it is a part of Ansible technique, so I have
Yes.
already used this, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you, Mr. Bhatt.
Sure. Okay.
Now I would like to invite the next speaker, Piratla Srihari, to present his research on weight-based binary channel coding, a machine learning approach. Mr. Piralta, you may please start your presentation.
Good evening, madam. I am Dr. Srihari, professor in Engineering College in Hyderabad. My present work is with the channel coding. It is am I audible, madam?
Yes, you are audible and the slide is also visible. Please go ahead.
Okay, okay. This is with respect to channel coding, especially with respect to a digital communication system. When a binary data is transmitted through a communication channel, because of noise in the communication channel, a 1 may be received as a 0 and 0 may be received as a 1. So at the receiving end, the attempts are made to identify, locate the errors and then error correction. That is collectively named as forward error correction or channel coding. Now this is my topic now. Now in this, we proposed a coding scheme by name weight-based binary channel coding. And for the decoding purpose, we are applying the concepts of machine learning to make the process easy. So my weight-based code is denoted as n comma k code, where k number of data bits are encoded into n number of coded bits, where n minus k number of parity bits are added to each data word. So k bits of information messages, r bits of parity messages, both are combined to get n bits of coded bits. Actually, these bits are not the actual parts of data stream, but to have the error detecting and correcting ability for the channel coding scheme, redundancy is a must. That's why extra bits are being added. So this is I1, I2, etc. Ik, the information word, which is obtained from the source of length k bits. To that, again, n minus k number of parity bits extra are being added. This constitutes one code word. Code word can be parity bits in the first part, data bits can be the latter part, or this, any one of them can be considered as the valid code word format. And that is the reason this is called systematic code word. Systematic code word means information word as it is appearing without any alteration of their bit positions. Then, how to determine these parity bits? Already existing coding schemes are there, block codes, cyclic codes, convolutional codes, etc., which are dealing with a lot of complex mathematical structure to provide the parity bits. But now in the present code, a very simple parity bit structure is provided. The name weight based because weight of the information word decides the structure of the parity bits. For the remaining coding schemes already existing, code word structure is same for all the message words. But here, the code word structure depends on weight of the information word. What is the meaning of weight of the information word? Weight means number of ones it possesses. Now, what is the encoding rule? Now we are discussing about the generation of code words. If the weight of the message word is 0, means no one is present in the data word. All are 0 bits only. That is called weight is 0. Parity bit is same as the message bit or information bit, 0 and even. If it is odd, say 111 is the message word, then parity word will be 000. Complements. This is complement. So with a simple inverting gate, I can generate the code word for any message word of any length. And in this code, that's why because of this reason, because you are using a complement data bits, the code is also named as data inverting code. So for some of the message words, parity bits are same as the data bits. For some of the code words, parity bits are complements of the message bits. That is the present proposed concept. Now I can take an example of 63 weight based code. The meaning of this is each 3-bit data word is encoded into 6-bit data word. Say I1, I2, I3, because 3 means 2 cube. We can have 8 number of message bits. 8 number of information words are written here, starting from 000 to 111. Because, and one more important point is, all 0 message word will have the parent bits also as a 0. It is a must, whatever is the coding scheme. So I am not touching that. 001 weight is odd. So message bit parity bits are the complements of the message bits. So these are all the code words of the 63 code, where 8 data words are there. Each data word is having its corresponding code word. So it is a unique one-to-one mapping between the code words and the message words. So this is an example of 63 code. Similarly, I can have 84 code, 10-5 code. So my coding efficiency is 50%. Means among n number of bits transmitted, k bits are useful, n minus k bits are useless for the user, but they are helping in identifying and locating the error, and then for error correction. Error correction is very simple, a simple complement of the received. But how to locate the error is the major constraint. For this purpose, I'm using MAP criterion. Basically, it's a classification algorithms I'm using, in which maximum a posteriori criteria I am using, and binomial distribution also I am using, based on the statistical analysis. The principle of decoding goes like this. Let the received code word be R. First, I will identify the structure of the parity word, because it is not the same for all the code words. Then I will estimate the possible locations of the errors, and then I am using the MAP criterion, maximum a posteriori criterion. Basically, it is a naive Bayes classifier I am using, classification, where I am using MAP. Now, if the probability of transmitting the code word CI is more than the probability of transmitting the code word CJ, because among these two, which is the correct word I have transmitted, I have to decide. Then decision is based on this MAP criteria. So knowing the received, this is what is called a posteriori. After knowing what is received, probability of transmitting of CI, if it is more than probability of transmitting CJ, my decision is in favor of CI, otherwise in favor of CJ. So I will explain this using an example. So these are my channel characteristics. I'm assuming that crossover probability or a transition probability means a transmitted 0 is received as a 1, or a transmitted 1 is
Mr.
received as a
Srihari,
0.
the timing allotted for each presentation is 10 minutes. I'll request you to
Okay,
please
madam.
come to your allotting. Yeah.
Okay, madam. This is the channel characteristics, and this is the received word what I considered. Then here I have located the estimation, I have estimated the error location. It can be either I3 bit or P3 bit of the code word. Then if I3 is the error, then I can correct that. There is a possible code word transmitted. P3 is another option. Again, to decide which is among them, I am using the binomial distribution. In this example, assuming C6 is transmitted, probability of this is 0.13, and here it is 0.35. So because this is more, using by this constraint, that is knowing the received, probability of CI is more than probability of transmitting CJ. So decision is in favor of CI. Thus I concluded that my transmission error is, say, this is a conclusion. My result is, since P of C5 by R is greater than P of C6 by R, means probability of transmitting C5 is more than probability of transmitting C6. As per a posteriori criterion, the code word transmitted is C5. That I am able to conclude or correct the error and decide what was the actual transmit. This is for single error correction, and the scholars working under me, we are attempting for multiple error correction also. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much for your different topic presentation. You may stop your screen share.
Okay.
I just have one query, Mr. Srihari. I
Madam.
couldn't see machine learning. What exactly are you doing in machine learning? What I could see is you are using a naive Bayes classifier, which can more classify or fit into a data mining category rather than machine learning. I couldn't see the magnitude of your data set, or what kind of a machine learning technique are you using here? Could you just elaborate a bit on that?
Data set is that, madam, that 8 code words are the data set. Training set is that one.
Yes.
If the code word is length is more, data word length is more number of code words will be there. Data set training will increase.
Yeah. But where exactly is the machine learning? Where exactly is any machine learning concept used? I could just hear statistical method which you are using.
It is basically concept of classification only implemented.
So basically just the classification is there. That's why you are giving it the name as machine learning.
For multiple errors, we are going deep into machine learning, madam. This is only single error. This is only single error for single error.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I would like to call the next speaker. Next speaker, Sheikh Janbasha, to present his title on Identifying Learning Standards of Artificial Neural Networks, a study. Mr. Sheikh, you may please present your work. Richa, do we have Mr. Sheikh in the panel? Has he joined?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Sheikh, you can please start your presentation. I think he's having some trouble. Can we move on to the next presenter while he joins in later? We can take his paper later.
Ma'am, I think next one is absent.
Okay. So can you just check out with him why what's the issue?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, Archana Singh is present, so we can call Archana Singh.
Yeah, we can probably start with her while the other guy joins.
Yes, ma'am.
So next, I would like to invite Ms. Archana Singh to present her paper on effectiveness of artificial intelligence in cognitive behavioral therapy. Archana, you may please start.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I just joined the session. I was in some different session. So
yeah, no problem, no problem.
I will just take a minute to share my screen.
Yes, yes, okay. Please take your time.
Okay, is my screen shareable, ma'am?
Yeah, it's visible. You may just put it in screen share mode, slide share mode.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good evening to everyone. My paper ID is 238, Effectiveness of Artificial Intelligence in Cognitive Behavior Therapy. This is the paper actually we did with my students, BTech students. And here we would like to emphasize more on cognitive behavior therapy because of this COVID pandemic. We just realized the students, even in our university, various students were complaining about various kind of behavior changes when they were in lockdown, and we could rather witness a kind of disease which even parents couldn't find out when they were there with the students. So with their own ward. So that kind of disease, like we and the kind of change in their behavior, it was very it has now become very important to learn. And psychology people, many people, they have been doing this using various tools, but in this paper we try to combine CBT with artificial intelligence. We tried both the technologies to come together so that people can be provided with convenience and easy, and they can have a chat bot. They can have a very artificial intelligence friendly chat bot where they can put up their query and they can have that friendly environment to them. So this is the CBT is a psychological technique which involves guiding people to a different perspective, which enables them to look at a brighter side of a situation that brings about a change in their thought pattern or procedure. It is based on the fact that a person's thought and belief system is the root of their behavior and their feelings. And this we can see by the posts that they are posting on social media, the tweets they are doing. One day their mood is something and another day their mood is something. So it is somewhat related with a lot of text which has been floated on the internet. So we are into this and we combine both the technology together. When we are saying artificial intelligence and cognitive behavior therapy, the expanded adoption of AI and its progression is actually addressing common health problems. And we had seen this AI therapy which overcomes social anxiety, grief, substantial, like a lot of apps are available on mobile phones, which people are using as a stress buster, and where it takes the attention of the user. And while he's doing, see, it is just a deviation of mind from a thought. If you are lingering on a thought for a very long time, it becomes a problem. So if you are able to deviate your thought from that problem, from that the lowliness of your mood, you just deviate your thought to the better side, or some application, some game is there which is just giving you some fun side of your life and giving you some hope. So understanding the behavior of the user, based on the behavior of the user, we are trying to provide a therapy which is based on AI. So here we actually developed a recommendation system, kind of a chatbot, where the user will be interacting in a very playful manner. So what we did to accomplish this, we tried to we name our chatbot as Asha bot, which is going to give Asha to the various people out there. And we collected data from survey form. We made a survey, and because we ran this project in the university itself. I am from Amity University, so here we have lot many students. So we developed online survey form, and we jotted on the question. We took the question from the student itself, and based on their student input, we framed the questionnaire. And after collecting the data in those surveys, we did some statistical analysis, and also we developed our chatbot questions based on the questionnaire that we have received. And the responses, like if I am saying, are you more concerned, like when you are in lockdown, there was one question I remember, like when you are in lockdown, which is the thought which worries you? So again, it was varying from segment to segment. When we are talking to BTech final year, they are more worried about their job prospects, whether they are going to get the placements or not. And when we were talking about BTech first year, like those who just joined Amity University, they were more worried about, we have not seen the college, how is the college life, we have not seen it, are we going to spend our 4 years like this online, in the online mode? So kind of this mental stress was there, which was developing day by day, that they are online but they don't know each other, they have not seen each other. This was the apprehension of first year students. So this was the framework of Asha bot. After collecting the data and after realizing the problems of the users, we made this chatbot, which we called it Asha bot. So here we have got this login page, our database is there, and the question that we are putting and the conversational data which is there with us, based on that conversation, we developed this recommender system where we were taking the user to some game page, to chatbot, or if there is some emergency, if the user, like see, our chatbot has some predefined questions and predefined answer. There was not physically anyone who is present over there, because it is artificial AI based. It's like your Alexa and Siri which is talking to you, but the set of questions are very different. If in our chatbot we just realize, after taking the user to various games and the time spent on a particular game, we are seeing the user is not that very interested, and we just flipped on to some other game or to other website, by looking at those timeline records, the log file, if we feel, we would play this button of emergency. We would like click on this emergency, that this guy needs more attention, maybe the medical attention, or
Dear presenter, could you please conclude your presentation?
Yeah.
Archana, the time for each presentation is 10 minutes only, so you can just come to the conclusion.
Okay, sorry. So okay, so this is the framework of Asha bot. Thoughts create feelings, and feelings create behavior, and behavior reinforces thought. Based on these thought process, we just developed it, and we collected data, and these were the games that we introduced. There were few games in our chatbot, and based on the log file and the time spent on a particular, even like we have created like stress during interview, what are the questions and how you can deal with it, career related stress, relationship stress. So we had a lot many apps that we connected with this Asha bot. This is the framework, like how it looks like. Hi, I'm Asha, welcome. Before we get started, how's your mood today? And so other questions are there. And this is the statistical analysis that we had done. We are yet to apply other AI algorithms to get more results, better results. Thank you so very much. Predicting the future isn't a magic. It's artificial intelligence that gives us the insight. Here I conclude my presentation, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Archana. I would really congratulate you for the wonderful topic that you've chosen for your research. I just wanted to know one thing, how many intents and entities does your bot have? How deeper
Yeah.
can it dig into finding out, or suggesting users what they should do further?
Okay, like we segmented the user in various categories. After segmenting, we had seven set of recommendation, or as you said, entities, where we are taking the user according to the questions that he's posting.
So have you used some kind of a platform like IBM Watson or something to develop this chatbot, or what platform have you used to develop?
Azure, Microsoft Azure, like
You have used Azure. Okay. Thank
Azure.
you so much, Archana. Thank you for the wonderful presentation.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Richa, is the other presenter ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So I would now like to invite Sheikh Janbasha to present his topic on identifying learning standards of artificial neural networks, a study. So this is a literature survey paper and the last paper of today's session. Sheikh Janbasha, over to you.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes, please present the
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah. Good evening. Good evening, madam.
Good evening. You please present your share the screen for us to see your presentation.
Yeah,
There's
madam.
a
Good evening, madam.
good evening.
Currently I'm in Ethiopia, madam. Due to the rain, morning onwards, no power and internet facility, madam.
Okay, fine. You can just talk about your research problem. It's fine.
Dear presenter, if you have any facing issue regarding presentation, so no worries about the presentation. You can send a PowerPoint presentation on a concerned email ID. If you can't present.
Okay, madam. Sure. Sure, madam. Just I will explain, madam. Just 2 minutes. Please give me time because I'm using mobile now. Just now only network came back, madam. Hello.
Yes. Please go ahead. We are listening to you.
Yeah, this is Sheikh Janbasha, working as a lecturer in Assusa University, Ethiopia. My research paper is identifying learning standards of artificial neural networks. Is a study paper. So generally, nowadays, artificial neural networks is an emerging technology as a part of machine learning. So whenever we build a neural network, so learning rules they play an important role to improve the performance as well as the efficiency of the artificial neural networks. So artificial neural networks are a connection of nodes which are interconnected, and here nowadays in most of the applications, especially in artificial intelligence, we are using the artificial neural networks also. So these learning standards they will improve the performance of the artificial neural networks. In the neural networks, we are having the 3 layers. Layer 1, which is the input, we will give input layer, we will give the input to the hidden layer, and the processing everything will be done in a hidden layer only, and then the output will be given to the inputs as well as what we call added, and that will be given to the output layer, and there the threshold will be there, and finally the output layer it will calculate. And to calculate this one, and we will compare the if any error is so that was this learning rules. So I have identified 10 learning rules based on a supervised as well as the unsupervised learning. And coming to the supervised learning. So we are having the second one is the delta rule or learning rule. These are the supervisor learning. And coming to the and another one which is called another one is learning rules. First of all, we have the learning rule, and here once you with the help of that equation, once so we calculate the output and we'll compare with the actual output with the predicted output. Then we will calculate the error, and after calculating the error, then we'll update the weight. And for each and every learning rule, it contains its own what do you call updated weight equation, and according to this one, so we'll solve the problems. Hello, madam. Hello.
Yes,
Hello?
yes, Mr. Sheikh, we can hear you. Are you done?
Yeah, yes, done, madam. This is the overview, madam. Actually, morning onwards,
Okay.
no power, madam. We are suffering
Yeah, no
like,
problem. Thank you so much. So this is just a survey, literature survey, which you have done. And
Yes.
how are you planning to take this survey further? As in, what problem are you wanting to solve using this survey that you've done?
Yeah, actually, we are planning to further so to go in depth to give each and every in depth, madam.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. And we are really
Thank you, madam. Thank
missing
you for
having
your
seen your
consideration.
presentation, but all the
I'm
same.
in big tension, madam. Morning onwards. So now, yes,
No,
madam. Morning onwards, no problem. I am in big tension, madam.
no, it's
Still, I
understandable.
cleared my
No
level
problem.
test.
Yeah, we are all going through
Thank
tough
you.
times, so there is no problem at all. Yeah, thank you so much. Over to you, Richa. We are
Thank
done
you,
with
madam.
all the.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Yes,
We are
ma'am.
done with all the presentations, and I think we can conclude the session.
Yes. I sincerely thank our authors and for their excellent presentation and contribution on this session, and all other participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough. All the presenter would be getting their digital certificates in 2 working days, and all the papers have already forwarded to the Springer, and the publication will be live within 5 to 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of ICT IS 2021. And I also thank our session chair for chairing this session. Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you for your valuable presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richa.
And I request to my team, and ma'am, this is a token of appreciation from team
Thank
of
you.
ICTIS.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I request to everyone to turn on their cameras for this quick snapshot for making this conference for more memorable. Please turn on their cameras. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you. Take care and stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Take care. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Shall I leave?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much.